So if someone is visiting here or, lives here like we do, and,
Mhm.
you lose your passport or you lose your residency card, I know that you guys help with that. How long does it take to replace that? And again, in what way do you help with that?
Okay. Well, basically, if you live here and you lose your passport and you have still have a copy of your birth certificate and you have another form of ID, and you don't have any plans to travel, you can replace that by making an appointment either Cancun or in Merida because Playa del Carmen only has emergency services. We don't have routine services now, or in
Okay.
the other consulates where any other place in Mexico. You make an appointment online and you can go and replace your passport with a full passport. That takes right now around 6 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, but people are reporting it's coming back around 4 weeks, but they say 6 to 8. But if you are here as a traveler and you're not here, you need to leave immediately, or you have an urgent need to travel, you have a medical emergency, or whatever it is, we can assist you with an emergency passport. There are three options for you, basically. So let's say Joe he lost his passport in Tulum. He goes back to the US on Wednesday. Today is Monday. Okay, it takes 24 to 48 hours. If he was able to get here today, he might get it tomorrow and he might get it on Wednesday. But if he doesn't want to take that risk or he doesn't feel like driving from Tulum, he still has a driver's license. He lives in California or he lives in Texas or somewhere over there. He could also ostensibly fly to the border and cross into the US by land. You can cross into the US by land, not even having any passport, any ID, nothing. The hard part would be getting a flight from here to the border if you didn't have ID. Now, say he has an ID. He decides he wants to do that. Or if he doesn't live anywhere near the border, he lives in New York, but he still has an ID. There are programs that were put in place by the airlines and by Customs and Border Protection, CBP. They're called they're flight liaison programs, basically. They are designed for US citizen travelers or legal permanent residents of the United States to board a direct flight to the United States without their US passport or their resident card. And there's two of them. One's called the Joint Security Program, and that one is based out of Mexico City, I think. And the other one is the Regional Carrier Liaison Group, and that's based out of Miami. And both of these coordinate between airlines and Customs and Border Protection to allow US citizens to board their flight. Now, the kicker here is that only the airline can call, and it can only be the day of your travel. And if you call in advance and try to talk to Delta or American or Southwest or whoever the airline is, they won't know what you're talking about. It's only the people at the airports who have these programs that you just go there, and we make recommendations on making sure you arrive prepared. We have the information printed out for you. We can send it to you. You print it out. You have your other ID. You may be, in some cases, you may have a police report. You may have filed your passport as missing or lost online, and you have that form to show them everything you bring. And they look at the totality of the evidence, and you just ask them, would you please call Regional Carrier Liaison Group or the Joint Security Program to liaise with CBP to ask if I can board the flight. So they'll call or they won't call, depending on who it is. Sometimes Spirit is one of the ones that may not be willing to call, but most of the major airlines, all of them have done it. Most of the major airlines, American, Delta, United, Southwest, JetBlue, they've all done this, especially during the pandemic. It was very, very active because there was no way you could get a passport at that time. Everybody was shut down. And then they just look at it and say, okay, well, he has an ID. And, a lot of times you're boarding a flight to return. And when you came down on that same airline, you had your passport. So they still have those records too. Ultimately, it's up to CBP. Ultimately, it's up to the airline whether or not you get boarded, but it's an excellent chance. And we've sent thousands of people home to the US without their passports using that program.